Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of A Gardener's Journey Homestead. I am Barbara. I'm in zone 7B in the state of Tennessee. And y'all, it's a little warm today because I'm out in the middle of the day. It's not that hot. I think the temperature is like 80 degrees, but of course in the tunnel, it exceeds. It's 93 in here. So of course it's going to always exceed expectations. But today I'm going to give you a tour of our outside garden. I missed it for May, so it's June now. We'll just say this is the first garden tour of the outside garden, which it is. And I got to tell you something off the top. There's something when we go out here, I'm going to show you that I have done that I will never, ever, 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 ever do again. So when we go out there, I'm going to show you exactly what that is. But don't you worry, I already have a plan for how I'm going to remedy the situation once this situation is over. But first, before I turn on the camera, I did a quick little harvest. I would say this is our first harvest of the summer garden. It's a small harvest, but it is our first one. So let me show you what we got. We have 2 squash. Are they not beautiful? I'm really excited about this because last year, y'all, my squash harvest was piss poor. It was horrible. I might have eaten 1 squash. It was really, really bad. We battled with the squash bugs all year long. The zucchini did better than the squash, but the zucchini harvest, it was not bountiful at all. Versus, this is the first thing, one of the first things that I grew when I first started gardening was squash. I had squash like nobody's business in the back of my house. Like squash for days. I had a bountiful harvest. I have not had a bountiful harvest of squash since 2020. Since my first year of gardening. Every year, I think the second year I did it in the tunnel. That was a huge mistake because at that time, I was not doing a lot of companion gardening. I did not have a lot of flowers in my tunnel. And so it was very hard for them to get pollinated. I was using a toothbrush to pollinate, like all the things. So that year, it didn't go well. Last year, it didn't go well. So I'm hoping that this is the sign that we're going to have a great squash harvest. And I'll tell you, a lot of our customers last year, we started selling produce for the first time. They were asking for squash and zucchini, and I could not hardly deliver because our harvest was so poor. But I'm believing that we're going to have a good one this year. So this is the first fruits, right? First fruits. Aren't they beautiful? And then we have a whole, not a whole, but a half a basket of beautiful jalapeno peppers. So y'all already know what this means. Jalapeno salt is on the way. We will be taking orders for jalapeno salt, I would say definitely by the end of the month, probably more like in a couple of weeks if I'm not mistaken. So again, I just got this today. This is our first jalapeno harvest. I picked like 3 or 4 maybe a week or so ago, but this means it's about to get cranking. It's about to get cranking. And then I got a few of these. These are the patchwork peppers from row 7. They're looking purple. I went ahead and pulled them, and I'm just testing to see if they're going to turn. I think they're supposed to turn red. So I wonder if I should have let them do the purple and then get a tinge of red before I pull them. But I'm going to take them in the house and see if they will fully ripen to the red color. So I pulled off a couple of those. This is a new pepper to me, so I'll keep you posted on how I like it. But this is our little mini harvest of what's to come. But let's go out to the outside garden and let's talk about how things are doing and do the first garden tour. So if you're new here, we have 3 main growing spaces. We have raised beds behind our house. We have the hot tunnel, which I just left. And then we have our in-ground garden that we do only in the summer. It is 4,000 square feet. It's 40 by 100. Right now we have 8 rows that are 100 feet long that we planted for the summer. So that's the space I'm going to show you. And first thing up, I'm going to show you the first row and show you what it looks like. And this is what I will never, ever, ever, did I say ever, do again. Okay, this is the first row. Y'all, that may look like some good stuff growing, and there is some stuff growing under there, but that is a whole bunch of weeds. A whole bunch of weeds. Let me bring you closer. So, what we planted in here are onions. The onions are in there. You can see this whole 100-foot row. This whole 100-foot row, you can see the onions growing up all the way down. You can also see where I tried to plant some lettuce in here. Let's talk about what went wrong here. Now, if you've been following me, you know I don't do weeds. If I have to weed, I'm probably not going to garden, right? And so I have been very diligent about using landscape fabric since I started gardening. I think that is one of the best things that I could have ever given myself as a brand new gardener, is to put landscape fabric down. I have landscape fabric down. What we use, and I'll try to show, I did a video where we actually planted this, so you can go back and reference. We use Farmer's Friend quick plant fabric. That's what I use everywhere else. And I am still a proponent of Farmer's Friend quick plant fabric, but just not in this application for this and this sizing. So in this section, we use the 8-inch spacing quick plant fabric, and we planted 400 onions. It's 4 rows across, but they're 8 inches apart, and it's all the way down, right? And so the spacing is close together, which is great for onions. What is not great is because we put the onions in as little bitty starts, as the onions were growing, so were the weeds, right? Because that little hole is kind of like this. Versus in the rest of the garden, you'll see I have very little weeds. The only place you're going to see weeds is where there's a hole that's not covered, or the weed was there and we haven't pulled it up yet. So in the rest of the garden, I'm using 18-inch spacing. But remember, I'm putting a transplant in there for the most part. And the transplant is usually more of the size of the hole. So as the transplant is growing, it is growing faster than what a weed can get through in there, if that makes sense. Where I am direct sowing, where we're putting seeds, yes, some weeds can get through that hole, but it's very, very little, and I'm able to quickly pull them out if I see them. With this section, it was so many, we could not keep up. We could still literally not keep up. Now, I tried doing this with the onions for the first time this year. As you know, I also have onions behind my house in raised beds. That's how I've traditionally done it. I've had great success. But I need more onions because I'm not able to produce enough in those raised beds to last me for the whole year. So this is why I went here, and I was excited. I'm like, 400 onions, we are good to go. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be great. I have onions in here somewhere, but in order to get them is going to be a huge chore and challenge, and we're gonna have to fight with all these weeds, and the weeds have choked out some of the onions, and I can tell that the onion bulbs are not big. The other thing is that this soil was much more compacted because it had not been worked, meaning we did a light till, but nothing had grown in this part of the soil, and so it's not as malleable, not as soft, and not fluid, that's not the word I want to use, but you know, it's not as loose. It was more compacted, and you know the onions, they need some loose soil so they can bulb up and grow. What I will not do again is I will not do onions in this fabric with this spacing. I will not. I will use this fabric everywhere else because it has worked great. But I think just with this application, with the 8 inches apart and the onion starts being so small, lots of weeds were able to come up before the onions could bulb because they're growing underground. I won't do it again. Here's what I've decided to do once we get through this mess. I am going to, once we pull out the onions, we'll see what we have. Again, I anticipate that the onions are going to be small. I'm not going to complain. That is how you learn, right? And some onion is better than no onion, but it's probably not going to be the harvest that I anticipated. But once we get all the onions out and then somehow get all the weeds, I think we're going to pull the fabric up and maybe just mow the weeds down. And then we're going to lay landscape fabric back over it with no holes, just plain, good, sturdy, black landscape fabric over it. Then what I'm going to do, here's my plan. I have decided I am going to line this side with metal raised beds all the way down. That way I'm going to be able to do more garlic, more onions, and I'll be able to do my potatoes. Because remember, I was also going to do potatoes here, but remember I had the foot surgery, we ran out of time, blah, 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 blah. All of that happened. I was not able to do my russet potatoes and my Yukon Golds and all that. But if I have a whole row of raised beds, because this is 100 feet space, I can put plenty of raised beds down here and do onions, garlic, and potatoes in raised beds, and I don't have to worry about doing them in the soil. Can you imagine if I would have done potatoes in the ground with this area? It would have been weeds galore. This 100-foot section row of weeds with these onions is driving me insane. I don't like to look at it, and I'm sure not gonna have fun pulling it up. But that'll be another day, very, very soon though, that we got to get that up. The other thing that I tried to do was I tried to interplant lettuce to see if I could just use lettuce to fill the open spaces, right? I didn't have enough lettuce at the time, and I ran out of time to just do that. But it's amazing how the lettuce out here looks really good, right? And in the spaces where I put the lettuce, there's no weeds because it's taking up that whole space, right? So that is the plan. At some point in the next week or so, we're going to pull these onions. I think they'll be at 100-day maturity about the mid part of June. So they have a couple of more weeks. And if I get time and the right mindset, I will go through and try to start pulling some of these weeds and start trying to loosen the soil to see if I can get a bigger bulb. I will try to do that, but I ain't making no promises. But I have a plan for what I'm going to do once this is out. We're going to just lay it all landscape down, and we're going to have raised beds all along this row. Now, here's the challenge. The metal raised beds, that's cha-ching, 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 ching, ching, cha-ching, ching. So, in a perfect world, I would love to just have, I think when I did the math, if I do 4x8 beds, I can probably get 10 down this row. On average, that's like, I don't know, $300 a bed or something like that. So it's not going to all happen boom, boom like that. Unless one of these nice Vigo Garden, Vajega, if one of them see this video and you want to sponsor some raised beds so I can talk about your product, then by all means, be my guest. Be my guest. I'm going to pray for a sponsor. Let's all just touch and agree for a sponsor. But if not, then we'll get the beds one by one. But eventually, that is what's going to happen. And right now, I won't be playing anything else in here during the summer. So it'll just be for, for the, like I said, the fall, winter, like garlic, onions, and potatoes is my plan. Y'all let me know if you think that's a good plan. Put your comments down below. So, never ever gonna do that again. Ever. We learned a lesson. That is all part of it. But now let me show you how the rest of the garden is doing. Let's start with the other row beside the onions. Okay, this next row number 2, is all, for the most part, peppers, and then we have some okra in here. So overall, I will tell you that things are doing pretty good when I compare it to, let me show you this. See, we have some peppers there. This is the Ajvarsky pepper. It is a winner as always. Let me just take you down the road, and then I'll tell you my comments after this. Here is bell peppers growing. You can kind of see here. I see one pepper has come off. Got a little bit of sun scald there. See, like this is a weed growing in here, but the rest is a pepper plant. So you can see we have some flowers forming. We have basil interplanted. The basil is looking good. We want to make sure we pinch our basil. I have been doing that so that you can get a bushier plant. So make sure that you're doing that. It smells so good. We have more peppers here. And then let me show you this. This is my first time ever doing banana peppers. Yeah, is this what this is? Let's see. Yeah, sweet banana peppers. Okay, so I bought this. I didn't start the seed. Sweet banana peppers. Now this picture has different colors. So does that mean that the plant is going to have a different color, because the reason why I asked that is because that's one, and then here is another one, but like this one is starting to change colors, going to that purple color, which tells me it's probably going to turn red. So I've never grown this before. In my mind, I thought the sweet banana peppers were all that light yellow color, and that's like the peppers that come like when you order a pizza. Am I thinking about that right? Y'all put some comments down below, because I don't know. I just picked it up to say, hey, I've never tried it before. Let me try it. And I figured I could pickle them and put them on some sandwiches or something like that. But I thought they only came that yellow color. Are they supposed? Because this other one, I'm pretty sure is a sweet banana pepper, but it's turning a different color. And on the picture, there's some different colors showing. So y'all let me know. Okay, here's our okra. You can see it's looking pretty good. Still pretty short. I think we have about 7 or 8 of these. And then we get into more peppers here. And then we have some zinnias that's already bloomed. Isn't that pretty? That's a pretty color there. And then the rest are just more peppers. And then I always usually end my rows with some sort of flower. So that's a celosia that's really, really pretty. And I think this is going to be a dahlia. Okay, so here's my take on this row. It does not look bad. It looks good. It's just not growing as fast as I would have thought. It still looks green. It looks healthy. And two things. I'm comparing it to the crops in the tunnel, but they were actually planted inside the tunnel probably 3 to 4 weeks before this was planted outside. So that's one thing. The second thing is the temperatures here have not gotten above 90 yet, which is kind of odd. Usually by now it's 90 something. It's been like between 82 and 88, somewhere along in there, but it has not crested 90, above 90 at any point, nor has it been there and stayed there. So I think the higher the heat, the plants will grow faster, bigger, and better. So I'm just holding out. So it's a little bit slower than I anticipated, but again, we're just in the first week of June, so I think overall it is doing okay. So let's look at the second row, which I'm going to go back. I'm at the end of one row. I'm going to walk back up. In this row is where we have the trellis, and this is where we have our black-eyed peas and things on the trellis that's on a pole. But we have a couple of new things that we're doing for the first time that I want to show you. So look at this here. This is growing nicely. We did this from seed. This is called scarlet pole bean. It puts on these little red flowers, but it's supposed to be like a green bean that's a pole bean. So it's looking good. I like the little yellow flower. I mean the little red flowers. You can see I got some weeds growing there because again, this was started as a seed and not a transplant. So I have to clear that out. Same thing with this one. Wherever I have a seed and not the transplant, then the weeds are going to grow. But again, they pull up very easily. This is also a another pole bean. It's looking good. This is a trifenia. And then look at this here. At first I was in this row and I'm like, I planted the wrong thing. This looks like a squash. It is a squash. This is center cut squash from row 7. And it gets apparently really big, long squash, almost like the Trambuncino. So it's in this row because it has to have a trellis. Because it gets really, 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 really big. So I think I have 2 of those. Then the rest of the row, this is green beans, Kentucky Wonder. It's the first time you can see it's already growing up the trellis. It's already clipping on. So that's great. And then the rest of this row is black-eyed peas. And they are doing good. You can see that some are bigger than others where I had to reseed. Like there's an empty hole there that I can pop another one in. But for the most part, they're doing good. They haven't started to grab onto the pole yet, but they love high heat. Once the heat comes, they are going to be so good. As I was in that row, I was reminded how important it is to plan out your garden and be intentional and try your best to grow enough of that crop to last you a year. have a way to eat it fresh and have a way to preserve it. If you didn't see, I did a very educational, informational video on the 5 best ways to preserve your harvest just last week. So make sure that if you missed that you go back and see it, right? Because you got to have a way to preserve your harvest. The reason why that is important is because as I'm looking at my black-eyed peas and, and they're growing, I would say, once the heat comes, they'll be producing probably by mid-July. And this weekend, I fixed black-eyed peas, or those are purple whole peas. I'm sorry, purple whole peas. I cooked some this weekend that I got from the freezer from last year's harvest, and I saw that I had 2 bags left, right? So I grew enough for a year because those 2 bags will last me until I can harvest again. Same thing with my bell peppers. I'm on my very last bag of bell peppers. I think I got like maybe a quart-sized bag left, and that's it. But you know what? I got bell peppers almost on the way. I have plenty of green ones. I'm just waiting for them to turn colors. So again, I was able to grow enough bell peppers to last me the whole year until the next harvest. That is so super important to save on your grocery bill, to know what you're eating and all of that stuff. Now, let's go to the other rows and see what else is going on. Okay, so this is row 4. This is a kind of a hodgepodge row. It's starting off with some peppers. No peppers as of yet. There's a flower there. Oh, we have one little pepper forming right there. Oh, we have another pepper. Didn't see that one. And then we go into squash and zucchini. You can see, of course, that it's spreading. This is where I picked the 2 squashes from that I showed you in the beginning of the video. This is zucchini. You can see it's forming nicely. I should be ready to pick that in, I would say, 2 days or so. This is the Dunja variety. And in case if you're like me, this has a variegated leaf pattern. When I first grew this last year, I thought I had powdery mildew, but this is not powdery mildew. This is actually a variegated leaf, and it comes like that on purpose. So this is a hybrid variety from Johnny's. More zucchini forming there. So far looking good. And then we get into the squashes. Plenty of flowers there. More squash forming there. The leaves are looking good so far. We're going to take it while we have it, because y'all know squash is prone to powdery mildew, squash bugs. More squash forming there. Then we have a nice basil interplanted there. Some zinnias that's about to pop through. And then this is where we get into our corn. Now, I need you guys' help on the corn. I have never ever seen this. This is my 4th year growing corn. And it looks like my leaves are missing. So like I have leaves down there. You can even see, oh, I just saw this. You see some corn forming there and tasseling. But then as I go up, I'm like, what happened to my leaves? I don't think that's normal. At least I don't remember seeing it like that before. But it's like that on several of them, even though the plant looks pretty healthy. Yeah. I'm not sure. See, like this one has way more leaves. Nothing tasseling yet at all. That one has leaves, but then you can see as I keep going down the row, there's no leaves at the top part, and I'm not sure why. I've never seen that before. So let me know what you guys know, think, have seen, experienced. Okay, this is row 5. At the back of this row is corn as well. So you kind of see they're side by side to pollinate. Again, there's leaves on these, but then like that one, the leaves at the top are gone. But then there's leaves here. And like on some of these, you can see the corn starting to form. But on others, again, it's not. And again, these are different varieties, so they might have a couple of different maturities. But I just think it's odd. I don't know what to make of this. I'm going to fertilize again because I know that corn needs a lot of nitrogen. So I've already fertilized once, and so I'm going to fertilize twice with the nitrogen. Once they start to tassel, you want to put nitrogen. But y'all help me out. I don't know what's wrong with that. Okay, and then here is more squash. As you can see, like this plant looks a little bit yellow compared to that one. So I'm thinking that needs nitrogen as well, because you can see how green this one is compared to that one. And I already know that nitrogen is low in my soil. You can see more squash forming here. So this row, again, after the corn is squash, and then this is tomatoes. And this section that we had left over that we need to prune and trellis. It has not been pruned at all since they've been put in the ground. So I'm very behind on that. Then we have a marigold, zinnia. This right here is some type of pepper. This is a, let's see. Oh, Sugar Rush Peach. I did that last year. I only did one or two of those this year. So that's what that is. And then the rest of these are peppers. So far, so good. Oh, there's a jalapeno. I think this is a jalapeno. No, I think this is a patchwork pepper. I'm gonna leave that one and see if it turns. And then this one, that was like some kind of Ajvarsky pepper. Marigolds. That's an eggplant. So overall, looking good. Look at my Dusty Miller I grew from seed that's growing right there, and then more marigolds. I'm so proud of these marigolds because we did all of these marigolds from seed. Okay, now we're at row 6. This whole row is tomatoes. You can see we have some flowers forming. There's all different kinds of tomatoes. This is in desperate need of pruning and then clipping to the trellis. None of that has been done yet since they've been in the ground because, again, I've been out of town and I focused on the ones that were in the tunnel because they were further ahead of these. But these have got to get some attention this week. You can see on this one, I already have some tomatoes forming that look good. And I got to go back to my notes to see what kind of tomatoes are which because I don't remember. I got to look at my tags. But this whole row is basically tomatoes, and there's little tomatoes. There's flowers. There's tomatoes forming. You can see there. But overall, it's looking really, really good. Plenty of flowers, even though it has not been pruned at all, and it is not attached to the trellis. But I got to do something because it's looking wild. But I wanted to show you as I go down here. This is a brand new one that I've never done before. Look at this. This is a blueberry. Look at that. That is so beautiful. I love it. These are blueberry tomatoes. I think that would be so pretty on a salad. I can't wait to see what they taste like. I think I have 3 of them, but look, they're growing really, really nice. And y'all, these are seeds. I think they're from Baker's Creek. I have had for at least 3 years. That's what I tell you. Seeds don't expire. They'll still grow because that's what these are. I have not bought these. I had them in my stash of 3 years ago, and I decided to try them, and I have 3. And again, they may not taste good, or they may, but if not, I just think they're pretty. They'll be pretty on a salad, and they're just pretty in a basket. So we grew them for beauty, and then we're going to see if we like them for taste. Okay, so next, I need your help again. So these 2 right here are tomatillas. I've never, ever grown tomatillas, so I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for, and I don't know when they're ready. But they got tons and tons of flowers. If all of these turn into tomatillas, oh my goodness, there's going to be a lot of them. I have one down here at the bottom. You can see here. It's soft, but I feel something hard on the inside. Now you're probably like, Barbara, why are you growing something you don't even know what you're growing? Because I'm a gardener, y'all. That's why. We grow stuff that we don't know. That's how we learn. But I want to make green salsa verde. That's how you make it, is with tomatillas. So I did some tomatilla seeds. They germinated very well. I only have 2 plants out here because, again, it's my first time. I didn't want a ton. And they are laden with flowers. I don't know if it takes a lot just to make 1 jar of salsa verde. I don't know. But I think the skin is like a paper. Like, when am I supposed to harvest? I'm gonna ask Uncle Google and all that, but y'all tell me if you've grown them before and you're an expert. When am I supposed to harvest? How big are they supposed to get? Give me all the details. Help me and help somebody else. I feel something hard on the inside, and then it's like soft around it. And then I don't even know how to cook them. I don't know how to prepare them. So this is going to be a learning experiment and experience for me. And of course, I'll share it with you. Here's a pretty nasturtium. So pretty. Thank you for the viewer who sent me a whole bunch of nasturtium seeds. And then the rest of these are tomatoes. I don't know what kind. Once I prune them, I'll be able to see the tags and I can tell you on the next tour. And then these two are sunflowers ready to pop at any moment. Now let's walk row 7. So at the back again are all some zinnias and flowers. Look at this beautiful sunflower that is forming. This is the Pro Cut Orange Excel from Johnny's. My first time doing that, and I can tell you it won't be my last. That is absolutely stunning. And then I have some celosia. And then these are mostly jalapeno plants that we just harvested from. And then let me show you the paprika. I'm assuming it's going to turn red. It's bigger than I thought. So they're growing well. There's another one. There's another one. And the rest of this row are pretty much jalapeno peppers and then cayenne. So that's a cayenne growing. It just hasn't turned red yet. But this is a whole pepper row. And then the very last row, row 8, is our watermelon that we interplanted with basil. The watermelon, you can see, is already starting to sprawl out and do its thing. And then we have basil interplanted all the way down. So this whole row is nothing but watermelon, cantaloupe, and basil. Okay, so we don't have any watermelons yet, but we're not supposed to. So I anticipate we'll have the first watermelons probably, I would say, in the next 30 days or so, probably in July, which is just dandy. Again, they love heat. So once these temperatures rise, I anticipate that on the next garden tour, when we do one in a month, that we will see definitely more drastic results and way more growth. But overall, for the first garden tour of the summer 2024, I think that overall this space is looking pretty good. No issues to speak about, which is a blessing, and I am grateful. One of the things, again, like I talked about before, at a future video, we will harvest these onions and get rid of all these weeds and all of that. That will be a chore within itself, and I'll take you along and let you see hopefully what we get in terms of the harvest and then how we clear that space. Also, I will be in some upcoming videos. If I do it on video, I'm going to be starting some seeds this week for another round of squash, doing some succession planting for squash and zucchini. I know that the squash buds are going to come, and I anticipate that, and I plan for it. So I try to do my squash every 30 days or so. I probably would have already done some, but again, I've been out of town. But now that I'm in town for a little bit, I will be starting some succession planting and starting some more seeds, and I will keep you posted on that. But that is the garden tour for 2024 for the outside space for the first tour. And we got a little mini harvest. So to me, that is like the first fruits of the abundance that is to come. Don't forget, y'all, we pray for abundance this season, and I believe that we will have it. I hope that your gardens are doing very well. Let me know how your gardens are doing and all the things that I need help on. Y'all put me some help in the comments, because you're not only helping me, you're helping somebody else. If you've not yet subscribed to this channel, I would love for you to subscribe and be a part of this community. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.